Hey everyone, and welcome to day 18 of my horror movie review marathon, and I will be reviewing for you guys the 1931 Dracula movie. Bela Lugosi stars as Count Dracula. I first saw this movie back in the day on a VHS tape that I rented from Blockbuster before it went out of business. This was one of the few black and white horror movies that I've seen. I really liked this version of Dracula over the countless remakes and other interpretations that I've seen. The characters are all pretty interesting in their own way, easy to identify. Whether or not you've read the book, which I slightly haven't, by far Dracula is the obvious favorite because he makes Edward Cullen look like a Claire's accessory. I love the way he's got these three vamp chicks with him. I definitely would have said something more explicit, but hey, he doesn't really have them do much except, you know, they're technically his slaves, his wives, his children of the night, whatever you want to call them. They probably will just like go off and kill somebody. He's got the classic vampire look to him, and that is probably the best interpretation of the character that you're gonna get. He's even got the icy cold stare to boot, and he just looks completely evil and someone you just don't want to mess with, even though he's got his charms. That's what he's supposed to do when he's trying to go out on the town and find his new mate or whatever. Voice that Lucy just dies for. I would have to call it Bella Swan syndrome. I bid you welcome. He didn't even have to say a word, and it still looked terrifying. Just don't pop up at my window at night. And I found it funny when Van Helsing showed him a mirror, because, you know, people were starting to get really suspicious, like, why can't I see him in his reflection? As soon as Dracula just slaps it away, I'm just like, ah! It was just absolutely funny. It was, like, really quick, and it was almost comical, but it still was, like, showing, you know, oh, you're gonna be busted, Buster. You've got Renfield, who is just, you know, he was once a normal chap until he turned into some raving lunatic as soon as he came into contact with Count Dracula. When he has these conversations with Dr. Seward and Van Helsing at the crazy house, stuff just happens. The actress who plays Mina is decent as well. She's not very good at hiding that bite mark from her man, though. Her man candy, Jonathan Harker. So it kind of showed, like, oh, like she's trying to be all sneaky and pretty, but really she's got something to hide. No, sweetie, you can't hide. I was slightly disappointed in the fact that this movie showed a stereotypical movie monster, but it wasn't violent at all. This does sort of reflect the time period that this movie came in. They didn't really show a lot of truly violent horror movies, but apparently a lot of people during that time thought it was violent. Like, it was something they'd never seen before, so it's this movie sort of escalated the more, like, what they call universal movie monsters, like the classic ones that we all know about. I would only assume because of what was sort of going on in the world at that time, like, people didn't really want to see things like that, so it sort of almost looked like a watered-down version than what you normally would see now, which is okay, it's pretty cool. The fact that the screen fades to black right before Dracula kills somebody or, like, bites them, and you don't really see it. So it sort of leaves up to the interpretation of the audience to figure out, oh, well, this must have happened. I was really surprised that this movie didn't even have a soundtrack in the background, and I mean, it had, like, some music playing in the beginning, but it didn't have anything, like, in between scenes, and I was hoping, like, it looks like a really nice film. It could have some really beautiful, like, scores coming in, something to, like, reflect the themes that are happening in the movie, but I guess it didn't happen. Still say it was cool with or without music. It was just really surprising not to see it. There was a lot of silence, and even, like, the ending, though, like, it sort of just, like, ends abruptly, but, and there's just, like, all of a sudden there's, like, silence, and I'm like, okay, it's the end. The set designs were really nice, and I just loved the interior of Dracula's pad. I'd have to say one of my favorite scenes in this movie was when Van Helsing shows Dracula the cross, the crucifix, and the way Dracula reacts to it. I was like, I knew that was coming. I was excited for it. I was waiting for it the whole time. And I thought it was just really nice to see that. Because Van Helsing and Dracula have this kind of like, you know, hate relationship, obviously. There was this one sort of like line that Dracula said. It almost reminded me sort of like Star Wars. If I were Van Helsing, I would say, that's right, Count Dracula, your Jedi mind tricks won't work on me. Even like Dracula said something about like the Force being strong with him, so I was like, okay, we get it, Darth Dracula. The movie pretty much ended on a quick note, and it had its flaws, but I still think it was a pretty good movie. Overall, Dracula was a good horror film that really defined a truly iconic character. I would highly recommend seeing this movie. So, if you have seen Dracula, let me know in the comments what you guys think about it. Come back tomorrow for my next horror movie review. And as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates. Come back every week for a Chill Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And I'll see you guys later.